What up, guys? Terminator Game Bro here, and today I thought I needed to post a video, and I don't want to do too much editing. So I was looking for a game, and this came up when I was searching for a small game to play. And apparently it's a reading adventure, and so I pick one of these stories, and then it'll give me choices to do and stuff. And I figured why not play a little bit of it, and if you guys like it, I'll do more of it, but I don't know if you guys like it yet, so I think I'm going to do this one, and the sun went out. Day 95. In the orange ball of gas that sustained life on this planet for billions of years was still burning in the sky. The scientists were completely wrong, thankfully. Something vibrated on my wrist. I raised my hand and studied the watch-like device. It was Modicon. Oh, wait, God. It was Modicon, or simply Modi, as I called them. Hello, teacher. The temperature this afternoon is a crisp 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I do hope you're wearing your warm jacket. Don't forget that you also need to pick up the travel documents from Miss Montague. She's expecting you at her home. Stepping out of the train car, I adjusted my coat. Modi was right. I should have worn the one with the wool lining. Too late to worry about that now. Dolores Montague's house wasn't too far away from the train station. As my boots crunched through the snow, I felt Modi vibrating on my wrist as ever. Modi's cheerful face greeted me. You have just received a message from Professor Soul. He is insisting you see his latest breakthrough right away. Good. Or visit Professor Soul. Dolores could wait. Even if Soul's matter wasn't urgent, he had become unhinged since the incident. We'll swing by Professor's place first. Modi, send a message to Dolores to let her know that I might be a little late. Okay, would you like to review the message I composed? Dolores, I'll be slightly delayed, unfortunately. Is this message adequate, teacher? It's pitch perfect, Modi. I knew you could do it. Thank you, teacher. I have sent the message. Before I knew it, I was trudging through the bitter snow on the professor's front lawn. There was a dull, muffled noise coming from inside the house. I pushed the buzzer next to the front door and waited. Yes, a voice came through the intercom. It sounded a little strange, more than the usual anyway. It's me, Professor. I'm in the basement. There was a relief in his voice. Click. That was the sound of the door unlocking. Taking that as an invitation, I opened the door and let myself in. I noticed a large suitcase sitting by the front door from its bulging sides. I had the impression it was overpacked. Was Soul going somewhere? He hadn't said anything about a trip. I don't want to go through his stuff. I opened the door to the basement and gingerly felt my way down the wooden stairs. It was black as pitch down there, and I could barely see in front of my face. Suddenly, I was hit in the face by the light cord as I fumbled to grip it. A voice rasped in my ear. No, it must remain dark. Jumping from the shock of the hot breath on my ear, I let go of the cord. Why can't I turn on the lights? Don't ask foolish questions. Come here. A dim glow appeared, highlighting a disheveled, unshaven face His reddened eyes bored mine as he beckoned me over with a bony finger. I hesitated, remembering what happened last time. Slowly I inched towards the professor. Scattered papers with frenzied scrawling littered the desk and floor. An ocean of ideas spilling out from me, the brain and flooding the dark room. Something caught my eye. You saw it too? Soul's tone reached fever pitch as a grimy finger pinned the paper with the strange symbol. He began to ramble insistently about theories and equations. Scanning the desk, I noticed he battered his battered diary with a lock. I wondered if its contents were more comprehensible than the professor. Again, I'm not going to go through his personal stuff. Most people were fiercely protective of the diaries, and given the professor's penchant for dangerous experiments, in some of which I was an unwitting test subject, I declined. It was best I left the diary alone. Teacher, my linguistics processing unit might be damaged. I am unable to understand Professor Soul. I swallowed a laugh, knowing I had to gain control of this conversation somehow. Soul, I interrupted. What's this got to do with the sun? Soul paused for a moment, then looked at me excited. Yes, the sun. It all comes back to the sun. People have a right to. A glint caught my eye from the top of the stairs, and I instinctively stepped back. Bang! Soul cried out, then slumped to the floor. Professor! I leaped to his side and fluttered my hands over his chest, desperately trying to stop the bleeding, but not wanting to hurt my friend. Hands shaking, I glanced back at the top of the stairs, spotted a shadowy figure running off. A gurgling sound made me turn my head back to Soul. He looked like he was trying to tell me something. Don't speak, Professor. I'm going to apply a bit more pressure, okay? My voice shook as I spoke. I was never much good at anatomy in high school, but I knew what the chances were that he'd survive. Nothing. He was still Soul. Teacher, the professor has passed. Damn it. Silently cursing, I was about to pull my trembling hands away from the chest when I felt something under the professor's lab coat. Steadying my hand, I reached and pulled it out of his pocket. It was a card sleeve containing a printed bus ticket, emblazed with the red and white coyote logo of the long-distance bus company. Itinerary scanned and stored. Travel destination Flying Falls. A single thought broke through my shock. The murderer was getting away. Not having any time to think, I pushed the ticket down into my pocket, ran over to Soul's working desk, and pulled open the top drawer, knowing what I'd find inside. The professor's revolver. It was a small gun at 8 inches in length, and it was made of sturdy stainless steel. I glanced over at Soul's lifeless body one last time. I'm sorry, Professor, I whispered. I snatched up the revolver and leaped up the stairs. The murderer couldn't have gone very far, not with the adrenaline pumping through my veins. I could see the door swinging wide open from the attacker's intrusion. Unwilling to risk losing Soul's murderer, I held my gun up and charged towards the exit. Bam! The door flung open as I burst into the bitter cold of the street. Hurriedly, I scanned my surroundings. There was no one out there. Teacher, there are fresh footprints leading to the left. Thanks, Modi, I said, followed the trail, my boots sinking into the snow with each heavy step. Desperately, I scanned the street for anyone suspicious. The street was completely bare. It looked like my luck had run out when suddenly... There! Someone was getting onto a bus. That could be them. But before I could go after them, I noticed someone else, slipping into a nearby alley. One or the other, it couldn't be both of them. The bus was idling as the person in the coat got on board. I ran towards the bus stop, frantically waving to catch the driver's attention. Too late. The bus started to leave, and exhausted, I stopped to catch my breath. Hey, hold up, stop! I shouted frantically, trying to catch the driver's attention. With a high-pitched screech of brakes, the bus stopped right next to me. Its door opened up, beckoning. I climbed aboard and paid my fare, absent-mindedly, thanking the driver as I began scanning the passengers. The driver grunted. Your lucky ass stopped. Already running late. The front door closed and we began to drive off again. I sat down next to an old woman and asked her if she'd seen anyone get on this bus before me. Afraid not, dear. I wasn't paying much attention. She looked out at the sky where the sun was visibly on only as an eerie glow through the clouds. What awful times we live in, Who knows when it will disappear again? I nodded politely and stood up. It looked like I had to rely on myself. I slowly made my way to the rear of the bus, subtly looking at each passenger. Subtly? I don't know. None of the passengers were in any way suspicious to me. Teacher, no one here matches the physical measurements of the person we encountered in Professor Soul's basement. Cursing silently, I turned around and started to head back to the front. When my eyes caught a familiar figure in an overcoat outside the bus, I couldn't help but gasp. Most of their face was hidden by the scarf, but I could see their eyes staring into my own. They glinted gold in the light, unsettling me. I felt a chill in my bones. Somehow I knew they were the murderer. Stop the bus, I shouted as I sprinted towards the front. Again? Screw myself, the driver snapped back. Clearly annoyed, the bus wasn't stopping. Please, it's an emergency. Next stop is 2 minutes, the driver replied unrelentingly. That was when I saw it. I leapt towards the other side of the door and mashed the emergency stop button with my fist. The bus skidded to a halt as several of the passengers cried out in surprise. What are you doing? I got a schedule to keep. I need to get off the bus. The driver, still angry at me, opened the front door. I leapt off the bus, my feet pounding on the concrete as I sprinted towards the figure in the coat. They turned around and entered an alley. I was about to step into the path of a speeding car. Teacher, stop! I leapt as the speeding car skidded towards me. Ba-dumph. My bottom hit the bonnet of the moving car, and miraculously I slid across it harmlessly. Landing on my feet on the other side of the car, I took a fraction of a second to recover my balance before sprinting towards the alley. As soon as I entered the alley, the only person with the golden eyes suddenly... The person with the golden eyes suddenly stepped in front of me. I was stunned for only a moment before raising my gun. However, I was too late. The last thing I saw was a fist. I opened my eyes and stared up at the cloudy sky. I was on my back, with snow in my clothes and hair. Teacher, are you okay? I'm fine, Modi. I said before wincing from the pain on my side, at the side of my head. I touched it and looked at my fingers, flakes of dried blood. My head was bleeding, but no longer. How long was I out? Only 5 minutes, teacher. Please, you must go to the hospital. You might have a concussion. I don't think we have time for that. 5 minutes was more than enough time for the murderer to disappear. Feeling like I was missing something, I searched my surroundings. Then it hit me. Professor Soul's revolver. It was missing. Golden Eyes must have taken it. Then I felt my phone vibrating in my pocket. Nothing. Nothing I could do about the revolver now. Modi, who's calling? It's Miss Montague. This is her 5th call. 5 calls in the past 5 minutes? Put her through, Modi. Actually, she's been calling for 10 minutes since during your pursuit. I'll put her through now, teacher. I heard the call connect. Dolores. Is everything okay? What? Of course not, Dolores answered, sounding bewildered. How long are you planning to make me wait? I winced this time, not for physical pain. Sorry, I'll be there as soon as I can. Just hurry up. She hung up the phone before I could say anything else. I would have told her about Saul's murder otherwise. It suddenly occurred to me that all of Saul's research which I needed was still in Professor's basement. On the other hand, I had made Dolores wait long enough, and I really needed eternally for her. What? Teacher, what shall we do? You need to go back. We need that research. Could be involved with the sun somehow, and that's more important than some trip or whatever she needs me for. She can wait. If Soul was murdered because of his research, then we need to secure it while we still have the chance, Modi. Stepping out into the main street, I stared walking toward Soul's house. It was already mid-afternoon, and the snow-covered roads were about to get busier. Busier? Yes, teacher. It took me a moment to notice that Modi didn't have their usual jovial chirp. I'll be fine. My head doesn't hurt that bad, so quit worrying. Yes, teacher. I sighed and did not say anything else. The land will freeze over on the 100th day. Warily eyeing the man with a megaphone standing on a small box, I made sure to keep my distance as I walked around him. Your crops will freeze over on the 100th day. Your children will freeze over on the 100th day. Brace yourself for the frozen hell. I am unable to find any scientific literature to support his claims, teacher. He's just scared, Modi. The sun thing got a lot of people spooked. It's a prophecy, Modi. You won't find it in scientific. Yeah. I have never seen this prophecy before, teacher. Is he trying to form a new religion? I nodded. Possibly, if he can build a following. Does religion make people happy, teacher? For some people it does. I glanced back at the man with the megaphone. Ever since the incident, many doomsdayers took to the streets, even on chilly winter days. Each one of them made gloomy predictions for our fate. The doomsayer that I had just walked past, however, was the gloomiest I have ever encountered so far. Still, like all the rest, I ignored him and pressed on. After about 10 minutes, I was crossing the front lawn of Professor Soul's house. His door was still slightly ajar. Should we call the police, teacher? Not yet, Modi. We can't risk having the research locked up as evidence. My phone vibrated in my pocket just as I stepped into the house. Miss Montaigne is calling again, teacher. Put her through. Yes, teacher? Dolores, is everything okay? I asked while walking down the steps into the basement. There's something else I forgot to tell you earlier, she said. It's quite important. You see... Oh, someone's at the door. Wait, won't be a moment. I heard her footsteps fade as she walked to the front door. I was staring at Soul's body when it suddenly occurred to me. If Soul was murdered because of the research, what if he wasn't the only one in danger? Dolores, don't answer the... Bang! Suddenly an ear-splitting gunshot sound rang through the receiver. The line went silent. Yeah, I don't want to waste any time with this one. I was too far away from Dolores' house. The only ones who could possibly help her in time were. I hung up immediately and dialed the emergency number. There was no time to lose. Teacher, this is most alarming. I am concerned for Miss Montague's future. I paced around a little as I waited the call to connect, looking down occasionally at the crumpled form of Soul on the floor. First him, and now Dolores. Were these two events connected? Click. Connected. Oh, sorry guys, connected. I heard a gunshot. I said quickly before adding, I mean, at 1204 South Street. Please hurry. Sounds of typing on the other end. I'll send a uniform right away. The officer on the other line replied calmly, please do not put yourself in danger. To answer this question, are you able to see the gunman? No, I heard the gunshot through the phone, I clarified. So the gunman is with the person on the other end of that line? Yes. What happened to the person you were talking to? I don't know. She walked away from the phone to answer the door, then I heard a gunshot and she didn't come back. I explained quickly. Is the officer there yet? Uniform is on the way. I could hear the officer typing something on his end, presumably taking down notes. What's the name of your friend? Dolores Montague. Was this information necessary for the police? How far out is this a uniform? Very close. Is the occupant of the address? Very close. Is the occupant of the address? The officer asked. Yes. What is your relationship with her? I don't know the relationship, so I immediately pushed the hanging up, but call. What? Oh, God. Button on my phone. The police did not need to know that. The important thing was that they were on their way to Dolores. But it wasn't over. I turned around slowly and glanced at the body. I had forgotten to report Professor Soul's murder. Teacher, what do we do? Somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew that Soul was murdered for his research. The answers are written in research, so I'm afraid if we touch the body and report it later that something might happen with that. Like, maybe I'll get blamed for it, and I don't want to be blamed for something I didn't do. Glancing quickly at the professor's large desk. God. Large desk, I noticed that it was oddly empty. It was usually covered with messy handwritten notes and research papers. Soul must have packed everything into his research chest. I walk over, trying to avoid the body of my friend, and tried to open the large trunk sitting just to the right of the desk. It was locked, of course it was. Going back to the desk, I rummaged through each drawer one by one, hoping to find the key. I see it, teacher. It's next to your right hand. Thanks, Modi. I grabbed the key and fitted it into the lock, popping the trunk open. Found it. There were a whole bunch of files and folders on the bottom of the chest. With this and Soul's diary, I should be able to hire another scientist to make sense of the professor's work. The diary, it suddenly occurred to me that I had forgotten it. At first, I tried looking for it on the desk where it usually sat, but it wasn't there. In fact, it wasn't anywhere in this room. It must have been stolen. That is a lot of papers, teacher. How can we take them with us. We'll carry it ourselves. We don't want anybody else to know about this right now. Suddenly, I heard a noise upstairs, holding my breath and telling Modi to be quiet. I tried to listen. Point your gun somewhere else, you dolt. Sorry, boss. Thought we might have... Oh, sorry, boss. Thought we might have to shoot someone, is all. What? There were at least 2 men upstairs. God damn. And they were armed. Jesus Christ, I'm yawning. Well, it ain't me you're shooting. And hurry up. It should be in the basement. Teacher, they're coming down here. Quiet, Modi, let me think. I took a quick look around the basement. There wasn't another exit, and there was no wardrobe for me to hide in. I would be able to hide under the large desk. The dim lighting of the room might help me there. Clump, clump, clump. I heard the men walking down the steps. The door, it swung outwards. I might be able to hide behind it. It wouldn't keep me hidden for long, but maybe long enough for me to slip out. Teacher, they're nearly here. The chest with the professor's research work, it was just large enough to fit me, and it was less exposed than the door. Hide in the chest. After roughly pushing as much of the files and folders in the chest to one side, I dove inside and pulled the lid shut, a fraction of a second before the armed men entered the basement. Told you no one is you dolt, said the man with a harsher voice. He sounded like he was the center of the room. Sorry, boss, answered Mr. Dolt. But I should keep the gun up, just in case, you know. Fine, fine. Do whatever you want. Just help me with the chest. Thump. I jumped at the sound of the chest wall next to my head being kicked. It was pitch black inside. Teacher, you have to be quiet. Suddenly, I felt a lurch as the trunk was lifted up. I kept as silent as I could while the trunk swayed from one side to the other. Hold it steady on that end, you dolt, screamed one of them. You're gonna drop it. Am not? Mr. Dolt replied wittily. Teacher, I think we're being carried up the stairs. Modi was right. Whoever the armed men were, they wanted Professor Scholl's research. I felt a chill in my spine. That meant that they were working for the same people who had ordered the professor murdered. The trunk started to feel cold as we went up into the street, not willingly to risk ending up like Saul. I waited quietly like a statue. God. The trunk started... Oh, wait. There was the sound of a trunk engine being started. Then we drove down the road. And drove. And drove. To destination unknown. Okay, guys. So that was chapter 1, I guess, completed. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And if you like stuff like this, please let me know. And I will do more for you guys in the future.